Have you ever found yourself caught in that peculiar modern paradox? The one where you're surrounded by amazing technology designed to make life easier, faster, more connected. And yet somehow you feel more overwhelmed, more fragmented, maybe even a little less human.
Yeah.
It's that nagging feeling that despite all this incredible progress, we might be drifting further from what truly makes us thrive.
Absolutely. That feeling is, I think, quite common.
Well, today we're taking a deep dive into precisely these profound questions, examining the very fabric of our modern existence and the role technology plays in weaving it.
We're unearthing insights from a truly foundational and incredibly prescient text, E.F. Schumacher's Technology with a Human Face. This isn't a book about the latest gadgets or, digital trends. It's much deeper.
Right.
It's a deep philosophical inquiry into how technology shapes our values, our societies, and ultimately our future. And what's amazing is Schumacher wrote this decades ago, but his observations speak so directly to the anxieties and challenges we face today.
It's uncanny sometimes.
It really is. He urges us to look beyond the immediate benefits and consider the profound, often subtle implications of our technological choices.
So our mission on this deep dive is to really unpack Schumacher's core arguments. We'll explore his diagnosis of how technology has, perhaps unwittingly, steered us towards what he calls a threefold crisis. How it has subtly yet fundamentally changed the very nature of human work and, most crucially, what a more humane and sustainable alternative might actually look like. It's a journey, really, from a clear-eyed diagnosis of our predicament to a surprisingly hopeful and practical prescription for a different path forward.
Exactly. We're not just reviewing history, we're using his insights as a lens to critically examine our present and maybe thoughtfully shape our future. What's particularly striking about Schumacher's work, I find, is his ability to cut straight to the philosophical heart of the matter.
Yeah, he doesn't just tinker around the edges.
No, he doesn't just ask what technology does. He compels us to ask why it does it, and what that means for our human experience and, crucially, the health of the planet. He really challenges the underlying assumptions of our technological trajectory, forcing us to reconsider the consequences of our choices on human well-being and ecological balance.
It's an invitation, then, for deep introspection, a reevaluation of what we truly prioritize in our pursuit of progress.
Precisely. 1. The disquieting reality of modern technology, a world in crisis.
Okay, let's begin by stepping back and looking at the big picture through Schumacher's eyes. He posits that technology isn't merely a collection of tools or just a consequence of human ingenuity. It is, in a very profound sense, the primary sculptor of our modern world.
That's a really powerful image, isn't it, the sculptor?
It is. He argues that our entire civilization, its core metaphysics, its educational systems, its science, and ultimately its way of life has been shaped and defined by the technology we choose to embrace.
And you can see that everywhere today.
Absolutely. If you look around, our lives are intricately woven around smartphones, social media, AI, digital work platforms. The list goes on.
Our daily routines, how we interact.
Even our political discourse, it's often dictated, or at least heavily influenced by the latest tech advancements.
That's such a crucial starting point, because Schumacher really pushes back on the idea that technology is just a neutral instrument, something we completely control.
Right, like it's just waiting for our command.
Exactly. He suggests it takes on a life of its own, developing according to its own internal logic and principles, and these principles can be quite distinct from human nature or the living world.
So it has its own momentum.
In a way, yes. This isn't about blaming technology itself, but understanding its inherent trajectory, its inherent leanings, you could say. He believed this pervasive technological force was leading us from crisis to crisis with what he termed prophecies of disaster and visible signs of breakdown.
Prophecies of disaster. Sounds pretty dire.
Yeah, it does, but he saw the evidence mounting even then. We often think of ourselves as masters of our creations, but Schumacher invites us to consider if, in some ways, our creations have become masters of us, subtly dictating our societal structures, even our individual behaviors, in ways we don't fully acknowledge.
That's a powerful challenge to our collective self-perception. This idea of technology operating with its own distinct principles becomes even more vivid when Schumacher contrasts it with nature itself.
Indeed. And what's profoundly insightful here is the stark contrast he draws between nature's inherent wisdom and technology's relentless, often boundless push. Nature, he observes, operates with self-limiting principles.
Self-limiting. What exactly did he mean by that?
Well, think about it. There's a natural measure in the size, speed, and even violence found in the natural world. An oak tree, for example, it grows to a certain height, a certain breadth, then stalks. It doesn't aim for infinite growth.
Right. It reaches its potential within its context.
Precisely. A river flows at a particular speed, carving its path, but within ecological bounds. This results in a system that is inherently self-balancing, self-adjusting, self-cleansing. It knows, to put it anthropomorphically, when to stop.
Okay, I see. Nature has built-in limits, a sense of scale.
Exactly. Technology, by stark contrast, recognizes no self-limiting principle in these terms. It pushes for more, faster, bigger, without an inherent off switch. It acts, in his compelling metaphor, like a foreign body within nature's subtle, interconnected systems.
A foreign body.
Wow.
That really highlights the disconnect.
It does. This distinction immediately surfaces a fundamental philosophical difference. Natural growth has a natural cessation, a wisdom of enough, which human-driven technology in its pursuit of infinite expansion often completely disregards.
That foreign body metaphor truly resonates, doesn't it?
Right.
It's not just a poetic phrase. It highlights a profound philosophical divergence. If nature's wisdom lies in knowing when to stop, and our technology inherently doesn't, well, we're on a collision course.
Seems inevitable, framed that way.
Imagine a system, whether it's our economic model or our approach to resource extraction, that consistently strives for unchecked growth, speed, efficiency, without those built-in limits. What are the inevitable consequences when that kind of boundless ambition meets finite resources and the intricate self-balancing systems of our planet?
It's the core question, isn't it?
It's not merely an environmental concern, though it certainly is that. It's a question about the fundamental sustainability and quality of our entire way of life.
Can a perpetually expanding, non-self-limiting system truly coexist within a self-limiting, balanced ecosystem?
Schumacher suggests it cannot. And the evidence, he argues, was already manifesting in his time in what he called a threefold crisis.
Right, the threefold crisis. Not just one problem, but three interconnected ones.
So we're not talking about one isolated problem, but three interwoven crises, all hitting us simultaneously. It's almost like our collective system is screaming, I can't take this anymore.
That's a good way to put it.
Schumacher identifies these as the visible signs of technology's systemic breakdown. First, he speaks of a revolt of human nature.
Human nature itself pushing back.
Exactly. People feeling suffocating and debilitating by inhuman technological, organizational, and political patterns. Think about the widespread reports of burnout today, the growing mental health crises, the pervasive sense of digital overload.
The relentless, always-on pressure.
Right. It's as if our inherent human needs for connection, meaning, and true leisure are being crushed by the demands of the very systems we've built.
And this human-centric crisis is intrinsically linked to the second crisis, the breakdown of our living environment.
Makes sense. They're not separate issues.
Not at all. Schumacher argues the planet itself aches and groans, showing signs of partial breakdown. We see this today undeniably in the realities of climate change, rampant pollution, accelerating biodiversity loss, the degradation of natural habitats.
Everywhere you look.
These aren't just isolated incidents. They are visceral manifestations of the Earth's systems struggling under the weight of an unchecked technological approach. An approach that treats natural resources as limitless and waste absorption as infinite.
That foreign body really causing systemic inflammation, as you said.
Precisely.
Which leads directly to the third leg of this crisis. The looming threat of resource exhaustion.
The finite nature of the planet hitting back.
Schumacher pointed to serious bottlenecks and virtual exhaustion for non-renewable resources, especially fossil fuels.
And decades later, that concern has only grown more urgent.
Absolutely. We're constantly grappling with discussions about peak oil, the scarcity of rare earth minerals essential for our devices, the ethical dilemmas of extracting resources from increasingly fragile ecosystems.
It's a constant drumbeat in the news.
Any one of these crises, taken in isolation, would be a monumental challenge. But their simultaneous occurrence points to something far more fundamental.
A systemic issue.
Yeah, a deep-seated incompatibility between our current technological trajectory and the long-term well-being of humanity and the planet.
Absolutely. Schumacher argues that a life based on materialism, i.e. on permanent, limitless expansionism in a finite environment, cannot last long.
Cannot last long. That's blunt.
It is. And he presents it almost as a mathematical certainty, not just a moral judgment. The more successfully such a system expands, the faster its lifespan shortens.
Because it accelerates its own resource depletion and environmental degradation.
Exactly. This systemic problem challenges the very foundation of our economic and technological models. It compels us to confront the uncomfortable reality that infinite growth on a finite planet is fundamentally unsustainable.
Regardless of how clever our latest innovations might be.
Precisely. It demands a reevaluation not just of what we do, but of how we think about progress itself. 2. The paradox of progress. Is technology truly helping us?
This brings us to a crucial, maybe even uncomfortable question. If technology is meant to solve problems and make our lives better, why does Schumacher, looking back at 25 years of intense tech development in his time, see the exact opposite?
It's a jarring observation.
He observed that problems seemed to be multiplying faster than solutions. He noted that modern technology had demonstrably failed to alleviate world poverty or unemployment.
Which remained stubbornly high, even threatening affluent nations, as he pointed out.
Right. The apparent yet illusory successes of that period, he contended, couldn't be repeated precisely because of this threefold crisis we've just discussed.
It forces us to peel back the layers of that popular narrative, the one that says tech advancement automatically equals universal prosperity and problem solving.
We have to question the actual lived impact versus the perceived benefit, don't we? Especially for those at the margins.
Exactly. Which really makes you wonder, if the primary task of technology is supposed to be to lighten the burden of work man has to carry, why, on a societal level, does it often seem to be doing the exact opposite?
Loading us up instead of lightening the load.
Precisely. Schumacher was so struck by this paradox that he was, as he put it, tempted to formulate the first law of economics.
Okay, his own first law, what was it?
He stated, quite provocatively, that the amount of real leisure a society enjoys tends to be in inverse proportion to the amount of labor-saving machinery it employs.
Wait, say that again? Inverse proportion, more machines, less leisure.
That's what he observed. He offered a fascinating comparison. Travel from what he described as easygoing England at the time to the much more strain of Germany or the United States. You'd see a stark difference in the lived experience of busyness.
So more industrialized meant more stressed.
That was his observation. Conversely, in a country like Burma, lower on the industrial scale then, people experienced an enormous amount of leisure really to enjoy themselves, even if they produced less in terms of, say, industrial output.
Okay, that's really counterintuitive.
It is. But he wasn't romanticizing poverty. It was an observation that our relentless pursuit of efficiency and material accumulation might actually be making us busier, more stressed, and less at leisure in a truly meaningful sense.
So the burden of living, as he put it, might actually rest more heavily on advanced societies, not less.
That was his controversial proposition.
Wow. If the whole point of labor-saving devices was more free time, why do so many of us feel like we have less of it than ever before?
And that first law only seems to have intensified in the digital age, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. We're always on call, constantly connected, our devices blurring the lines between work and personal life.
The ping of an email, the notification.
Exactly. The promise of the weekend or even a quiet evening, often interrupted by the unspoken expectation of immediate availability.
We might have more tools to do things faster, but the list of things to do seems to grow even quicker.
Consuming our potential leisure rather than augmenting it. It almost feels like the technology demands more of us rather than freeing us up.
Which leads to another critical aspect Schumacher dissects. Modern technology's impact on the very nature of work and our satisfaction in it.
Right. The quality of work itself.
He observed that modern technology is exceptionally good at reducing or outright eliminating skillful, productive work of human hands in touch with real materials.
The kind of work where you actually make something tangible.
Exactly. The kind that engages both our brains and our dexterity, where we see the tangible results of our effort. That kind of work has become incredibly rare and economically difficult to sustain in advanced industrial societies.
And he linked this to our well-being.
Directly. Schumacher suggested that a great part of the modern neurosis may be due to this very fact. He cites Thomas Aquinas' definition of humans as brains and hands, arguing that we intrinsically enjoy nothing more than being creatively, usefully, and productively engaged with both.
But today, that kind of satisfying hands-on work, it's become a luxury, hasn't it?
Almost a privilege only for the wealthy. Those who can afford the space, the specialized tools, the teachers, the sheer free time to pursue it without the pressure of needing a job.
You know, it makes you think. How many of us yearn for hobbies that involve making things? Pottery, woodworking, gardening.
Knitting, coding something creative.
Precisely because our day jobs often don't allow for that fulfilling connection between our intellect and our physical skill.
That's a powerful point about the alienation of work. When our livelihoods depend on tasks that don't engage our whole being, our innate human capacity for both intellectual creativity and manual skill, what is the true hidden cost?
The cost to the individual, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Schumacher suggests that the material gains from this kind of technology come at a profound spiritual and psychological price. The diminishing of meaningful, hands-on, creative work leads to widespread alienation, a sense of purposelessness, a deep dissatisfaction that material possessions can never truly fill.
It's the difference between, say, a craftsman building a beautiful piece of furniture, pouring skill and attention into every detail,
And an assembly line worker performing a repetitive, fragmented task with little connection to the final product or a sense of personal accomplishment.
Yeah. That shift fundamentally erodes our human dignity, our innate drive for creative expression.
And to further illustrate this devaluation of actual production, Schumacher makes an intriguing, almost startling calculation about how we spend our time.
Oh, this is the 3.3% thing, right?
Exactly. He estimates that only about 3.3% of total social time, that's 24 hours a day for every single person in a society, is actually spent on real production. And he's quite meticulous defining actual producers, those directly engaged in making essential things: agriculture, mining, construction, industry.
So he excludes management, distribution, planning.
He categorizes them as part of the roundabout or indirect economy, which leaves a staggering 96.7% of our collective social time for everything else.
Like non-productive jobs, sleeping, eating, leisure.
Or what he starkly calls killing time.
Wow, 3.3% is
Yeah.
tiny.
It's eye-opening. If only such a tiny fraction of our collective effort is dedicated to direct production, it's perhaps no surprise that those roles tend to lose prestige. It fundamentally redefines what work means and what we truly value as a society.
And this leads to that inverted prestige structure he talked about.
Precisely. If producing the actual stuff that keeps us alive takes up such a tiny sliver of our collective time, it makes a strange kind of sense that the people doing that work might not get the headlines, the highest salaries, or the most social recognition.
He explicitly states, the prestige carried by people in modern industrial society varies in inverse proportion to their closeness to actual production.
Yeah. Prestige gravitates towards those who help fill the other 96.7%, he says, like entertainers, consultants, or executors of Parkinson's law.
People whose jobs often expand to fill the time available regardless of direct productive output.
Exactly. It's almost as if the further you are from getting your hands dirty, the higher up the social ladder you climb.
What happens to a society, to its collective identity and purpose, when the act of creating essential goods, of tangibly shaping our physical world, loses its inherent value?
It's a deep societal shift. Value is increasingly placed not on creation, but on consumption, management, or even just the entertainment around creation.
Which brings us back to that profound spiritual and psychological cost.
Right. Schumacher argues that confining our truly productive, hands-on time to such a minuscule 3.3% has systematically stripped all normal human pleasure and satisfaction from work itself. He concludes that virtually all real production has been turned into an inhuman chore which does not enrich a man but empties him.
Empties him. That's strong language.
It is. And he includes a powerful, almost heartbreaking quote. From the factory, dead matter goes out improved, whereas men there are corrupted and degraded.
Oof. That's damning.
Modern technology, in its pursuit of efficiency, has delivered us fragmented, often unenjoyable work. It's also multiplied those roundabout or indirect jobs, many of which, he contends, wouldn't even be necessary if technology were rather less modern and designed with human flourishing in mind.
So the material gains come at this profound spiritual and psychological expense.
That's his argument. He even points to Karl Marx, who foresaw this dilemma. They want production to be limited to useful things, but they forget that the production of too many useful things results in too many useless people.
Wow. Marx said that.
He did. And Schumacher adds his own poignant observation, particularly when the processes of production are joyless and boring.
That combination. Producing material abundance, but simultaneously producing human emptiness. Does the digital age, with its gig economy, remote work, algorithmic management, does it just further this fragmentation?
That's a huge question today, isn't it?
Or does it, maybe in some unexpected corners, offer new avenues for creative engagement, Think about digital nomads prioritizing work-life balance, or online creators finding purpose.
Is it a new manifestation of the same problem, or maybe a tiny crack in the system pointing towards Schumacher's human face?
It's definitely something to mull over. 3, imagining a different path. Technology with a human face. Okay, so if our current technological path is leading us towards this threefold crisis and emptying our work of meaning, what's the alternative? Schumacher isn't a Luddite, right? He's not saying smash the machines.
Not at all. He's not advocating for a return to a pre-industrial age. Quite the contrary. He acknowledges we possess a vast accumulation of new knowledge, splendid scientific techniques, and immense experience in its application. We have the know-how. But he argues our use of this knowledge has too often been unwise and destructive. And this is the crucial pivot. This knowledge, he insists, does not commit us to a technology of gigantism, supersonic speed, violence, and the destruction of human work enjoyment.
So we have a choice.
That's his core message here. The relentless pursuit of gigantism, ever larger scale, ever faster speeds, ever more complex systems, is not an inevitability dictated by science. It's a choice we've made about how we apply our capabilities.
He's asking us to imagine a different choice then, to reorient our technological effort towards human flourishing.
Precisely. We have the knowledge. The challenge lies in its wise application. Schumacher's vision for a different path is, he admits, maybe utopian in the context of current societal norms, but he insists it's a necessary dream if we are to survive.
A necessary dream. Okay, what does it look like?
He challenges us to imagine increasing our genuinely productive time sixfold, up to about 20% of total social time.
20% compared to 3.3. That's a big jump.
A huge jump, engaging hands and brains and naturally excellent tools. This would mean producing as much as we do now, but at 1/6 of our current productivity rates.
Which gives us 6 times more time for any given task.
Exactly. Imagine the implications. This expanded time and integrated engagement would enable a profound focus on quality, beauty, enjoyment in our work.
Not just rushing to get it done.
Right. It would even offer significant therapeutic and educational value in the act of creation itself. In this world, he suggests, no one would then want to raise the school-leaving age or to lower the retirement age.
Because work itself would be fulfilling.
That's the idea. And everybody would be welcome to lend a hand. The rigid boundaries between work and leisure would blur.
And those on-cost jobs, the indirect ones.
Many would disappear. And crucially, he believed there would be little need for mindless entertainment or other drugs, and unquestionably much less illness.
That's a powerful vision. It directly challenges our modern assumptions about productivity, leisure, happiness.
It really does.
Is this truly utopian, or is it maybe a forgotten common sense? A natural way of living we've engineered ourselves away from?
That's the question he leaves us with.
What would our daily lives look like if 20% of our social time was genuinely dedicated to productive, enjoyable work, where the line between work and leisure became delightfully blurred?
Imagine the explosion of creativity, the satisfaction, the sense of purpose.
Engaging our hands and brains in meaningful ways, rather than constantly seeking escape from dull, fragmented tasks.
It's a world where our tools genuinely serve us, facilitate our creativity and well-being, rather than making us servants to their demands.
And Schumacher saw this as more than just a nice idea, right? He saw it as necessary.
Yes. He acknowledges that the current industrial society holds no promise of survival, meaning we jolly well have to have the courage to dream if we want to give our children a chance. His dream, therefore, isn't just romantic. It's presented as a strategic imperative.
Okay. And here's where Schumacher delivers another powerful, almost shocking reframe. He declares that the problem children of the world are not the poor nations,
but rather the rich, industrialized societies, us.
Us. He compares our present consumer society to a drug addict who, no matter how miserable he may feel, finds it extremely difficult to get off the hook.
That's a blunt, uncomfortable assessment.
It really is. He sees a sliver of hope, maybe paradoxically, in the fact that rich countries are beginning to consider and mitigate third world poverty.
A shift that could save us, he says. Because the poor cannot successfully adopt our current capital-intensive technology anyway. Their attempts to do so, he observes, often lead to mass unemployment, mass migration into cities, rural decay, and intolerable social tensions.
So our problematic model doesn't even work when exported.
Not effectively, not without causing huge disruption. This flips the entire narrative of who needs saving. It highlights the self-destructive, addictive nature of unchecked consumerism and expansionism in our own backyards.
It's like holding up a stark mirror. reflecting our own unsustainable habits as the primary global crisis.
It's an essential distinction to make, forcing us to reevaluate who is genuinely struggling and why, which leads directly to a core principle Schumacher championed, citing Gandhi's profound insight.
Oh yeah, the Gandhi quote is famous.
The poor of the world cannot be helped by mass production, only by production by the masses.
Mass production versus production by the masses. Let's break that down.
Okay. Mass production technology, as we know it, is sophisticated, highly capital-intensive, high-energy, input-dependent, and human labor-saving.
So big factories, lots of investment, lots of energy, fewer workers per unit of output.
Exactly. It inherently presupposes that you are already rich, requiring massive investments, complex infrastructure, specialized skills, things out of reach for most people and communities. Schumacher calls it inherently violent, ecologically damaging, self-defeating in terms of non-renewable resources, and stultifying for the human person.
Violent? How so?
Violent towards nature, towards resources, and often towards the human spirit by making work meaningless. Think vast automated factories, enormous cargo ships, complex data centers, impressive scale, but distant, impersonal, resource-hungry.
Okay, so contrast that with production by the masses.
This is what Schumacher ultimately termed technology with a human face. This approach, he explains, mobilizes the priceless resources which are possessed by all human beings, their clever brains and skillful hands, and supports them with first-class tools.
So it's technology designed to empower human skill, not replace it.
Exactly. It's conducive to decentralization, meaning it supports local economies and self-sufficiency. It's compatible with the laws of ecology, gentle in its use of scarce resources, and crucially designed to serve the human person instead of making him the servant of machines.
Can you give an example?
Imagine a network of local artisan workshops rather than one giant industrial complex, or community gardens thriving on simple, effective tools instead of monoculture megafarms reliant on heavy machinery and chemicals.
It completely redefines efficiency and value, doesn't it? Placing human dignity and ecological harmony at the forefront.
That's the goal.
And Schumacher gave this production by the masses approach a specific name: intermediate technology.
Yes. It's not about reverting to primitive tools, but about finding that sweet spot, something vastly superior to the primitive technology of bygone ages, but at the same time much simpler, cheaper, and freer than the super technology of the rich.
So not backwards, but not blindly forwards either. A middle ground.
A carefully chosen middle ground. He also affectionately calls it self-help technology. Democratic or people's technology. The key here is accessibility.
Technology that empowers everyone, not just an elite few.
Right, and he makes a truly fascinating counterintuitive point about its development. He says it's actually more difficult to recapture directness and simplicity than to advance in the direction of ever more sophistication and complexity.
Making things simpler is harder.
Often, yes. It takes a certain flair of real insight to make things simple again. An insight that, he argues, requires not being alienated from real productive work and from the self-balancing system of nature.
So it requires a kind of wisdom born from engagement with the real world.
Exactly. To strip away unnecessary complexity and design truly elegant, human-scaled solutions, it's a call for a different kind of ingenuity.
One that values elegance over extravagance, appropriateness over raw power.
Well put. Schumacher emphasizes that any third-rate engineer or researcher can increase complexity, but true insight lies in the challenging art of making things simple again. This isn't just about technical skill, it requires a deep, almost empathetic understanding and connection to real, productive work and nature, which always recognizes measure and limitation.
So it's about designing tools that foster human flourishing within natural limits, a technology in harmony with life.
That's the essence of intermediate technology, and the shift in mindset from complex to simple, from gigantism to human scale, is central to escaping that threefold crisis. 4. The crossroads. Forward stampede versus homecomers.
Given this profound diagnosis and the vision for an alternative, Schumacher sees humanity at a crucial crossroads. It's not just a technical or economic dilemma, he says. It's a philosophical and moral showdown for the future of our species.
A fundamental choice point.
He identifies two distinct groups of people, each advocating for a fundamentally different path forward. On one side, the people of the forward stampede, who believe the solution is simply to do more of what we're already doing, but faster and bigger.
Double down on the current approach.
Right. And on the other side, the homecomers, who search for a new lifestyle and seek to return to certain basic truths, about humanity and its place in the world.
Our future, he suggests, hinges on which of these worldviews ultimately prevails.
Okay, let's look at the forward stampede first.
Mm.
How does he describe them?
Schumacher paints a vivid portrait. Their motto, which he attributes to Dr. Sicko Mansholt, is a relentless push for more, further, quicker, richer. They operate under the belief that there's no alternative to our current trajectory, that we must go forward, and that nothing is wrong with modern technology except that it is as yet incomplete.
So the solution is always more technology, more growth.
Exactly. Their solutions are always technical fixes designed to accelerate the current path. More police to control social unrest generated by the system.
Right.
Ever more stringent anti-pollution laws, which they argue can be paid for by even faster economic growth.
Kicking the can down the road, maybe.
Perhaps. Synthetics to overcome natural resource problems, fast breeder reactors, or fusion energy to replace dwindling fossil fuels. Their underlying slogan is effectively, a breakthrough a day keeps the crisis at bay.
Keep innovating our way out of the problems innovation created.
That's the logic. Schumacher suggests this mindset uncannily resembles Dostoevsky's Grand Inquisitor demanding people adapt to the prevailing system because, in their view, there is simply no other viable path. It's a belief system that sees no inherent limits, viewing challenges as merely temporary roadblocks to be overcome with more of the same approach.
That's definitely the dominant paradigm we see playing out daily, isn't it? This unshakable conviction that every problem has a technical fix. If we just push harder, innovate faster, scale up further, we'll eventually find salvation. You see it in the headlines, constantly announcing new AI breakthroughs, promising to solve everything.
Climate change, disease, resource scarcity.
Or the ambitious plans for space colonization as a potential escape. Or geoengineering proposals to actively manipulate the planet's atmosphere.
It's all about doing more of what got us here, but on an even grander scale.
Assuming technology itself will provide the answers, rather than questioning the fundamental framework. It's a cycle of perpetual, often frantic problem-solving without addressing the root causes.
Well described.
But then there are the homecomers. And here's where Schumacher draws that truly bold connection.
Yes, this is quite striking.
These individuals aren't just advocating for a slower pace, they're urging us to turn around and head home to basic truths.
This group, he argues, is deeply convinced that technological development has taken a wrong turn and needs a fundamental redirection.
And their strength comes from conviction, not just fear.
Critically, yes, from deep convictions, not merely from fear of impending disaster. And their most exalted text, Schumacher daringly suggests, is the Gospels.
The Gospels, specifically.
Specifically the Sermon on the Mount, which he believes offers pretty precise instructions on how to construct an outlook that could lead to an economics of survival.
Wow. Okay, that's unexpected. How does he connect the Sermon on the Mount to economics and technology?
He interprets the Beatitudes for today's context almost as guiding principles for a sustainable future. Like, we are poor, not demigods. A call for humility. We have plenty to be sorrowful about and are not emerging into a golden age. A dose of realism, perhaps?
Right, acknowledging the crises.
We need a gentle approach, a nonviolent spirit, and small is beautiful. That connects directly to his core theme.
Small is beautiful, there it is.
We must concern ourselves with justice and see right prevail. An ethical dimension. And finally, all this, only this, can enable us to become peacemakers, linking inner peace and outer action.
That's a powerful and surprising reading, linking ancient spiritual wisdom directly to modern economic and technological crises.
It is indeed a daring proposition. It challenges the conventional separation of ethics, spirituality, and economic policy. This perspective from the homecomers emphasizes humility, introspection, a profound reevaluation of our most fundamental human values.
So it's saying our troubles stem from losing touch with these deeper principles.
That's the argument. It directly links spiritual and ethical considerations to our economic and technological decisions, arguing our troubles stem precisely from a prolonged failure to make this connection. It might seem abstract to connect Beatitudes with technology, but Schumacher insists our predicament is a direct result of ignoring these foundational principles.
So it's about bringing a moral compass back to our innovation process.
Exactly. Embracing qualities like gentleness, justice, nonviolence as guiding principles for our technological and economic endeavors. The question then becomes, how can these seemingly abstract tenets be translated into practical decisions today?
And it's important to clarify, this isn't about rejecting growth or progress altogether, is it?
No, not at all. Schumacher emphasizes that these are essential features of life itself. The point for the homecomers is one of qualitative determination,
Qualitative meaning.
meaning asking, what ought to be growing and diminishing? What genuinely constitutes progress? They don't advocate for stagnation, they advocate for a different kind of growth.
Growth that serves life, not just expansion for its own sake.
Precisely. They believe modern technology's current direction, its relentless pursuit of ever greater size, ever higher speeds, and ever increased violence in defiance of all laws of natural harmony, is in fact the opposite of progress.
So reorientation isn't anti-technology. It's based on remembering what human life is really about.
Exactly. It's not Luddism. It's about discerning what kind of growth truly serves life, what kind of progress genuinely improves the human condition, rather than simply expanding technical capabilities or material possessions at any cost.
Aligning our innovations with our deepest human values and ecological realities.
That's the heart of the homecomer perspective. 5, practical hope. Empowering ordinary people and alternative models.
So if this is truly a battle of worldviews, this choice between the forward stampede and the homecomers, then what role do ordinary people play? Are we just spectators?
Not according to Schumacher. He argues quite forcefully that to simply leave it to the experts means effectively to side with the people of the forward stampede.
Why? Because experts often operate within the dominant paradigm.
Partly that. He posits that politics, economics, and technology are simply too important to be left solely to specialists. Experts, by virtue of their deep focus, might sometimes miss the broader human and ecological implications.
The bigger picture gets lost.
Potentially. He suggests that ordinary people are often able to take a wider view and a more humanistic view. And their power, he says, lies not necessarily in starting entirely new lines of action themselves,
What?
but in placing their sympathy and support with minority groups which have already started to build these alternative models.
So supporting the pioneers.
Exactly. He's saying we, the broader public, have a crucial role by lending our moral and practical support to those already charting a different course, a future that prioritizes human well-being and ecological harmony.
That's a powerful call for democratic engagement, isn't it? Valuing diverse perspectives beyond the purely technical.
It really is. Experts are indispensable, of course. But Schumacher reminds us that politics is too important a matter to be left to experts. And given that the main content of politics today is economics, and the main content of economics is technology, well, it follows that neither economics nor technology can be left solely to the experts either.
It broadens the circle of who gets to decide our technological future.
Precisely. Citizen participation, active support for alternative models, these are vital because they empower people to recognize their inherent wisdom and actively support initiative aligned with a more humane vision.
And Schumacher doesn't just theorize about this. He offers concrete examples of homecomer thinking in action, right?
Yes, he does. Take agriculture, for instance. He highlights the dilemma of modern agriculture, relying on ever-increasing quantities of chemical products with grave doubts about long-term effects.
That poison or hunger argument we often hear.
Exactly. Either use chemicals to maximize yields or people starve. But Schumacher points to the Soil Association,
What was that?
a private, voluntary organization, already over 25 years old when he wrote. They had been rigorously exploring the complex soil-plant-animal-human relationships, conducting research, promoting methods of nonviolence and humility towards the infinitely subtle system of natural harmony.
So organic farming, basically.
Yeah.
Before it was mainstream.
Essentially, yes. Though often dismissed as the muck and mystery people by the mainstream agricultural industry, they offered a viable, ecologically sound alternative. They demonstrated that excellent yields were possible without chemicals, without compromising long-term soil fertility.
So it wasn't just an isolated anecdote, it was proof of concept.
A powerful demonstration of the gentle, nonviolent approach to nature he advocated. It challenged the dominant narrative that we must choose between productivity and ecological health.
And today, we see the foresight in the growth of organic farming, regenerative agriculture, permaculture.
All building on those early principles.
And it wasn't just agriculture, was it? He mentioned industrial technology, too.
Yes, he pointed to practical hope there through the Intermediate Technology Development Group, or ITDG, now known as Practical Action, I believe.
Okay, what do they do?
Another private, voluntary organization explicitly focused on how to help people to help themselves, particularly in the developing world, but whose research and models were attracting serious attention from rich societies as well. Their work wasn't just theoretical. It demonstrated concretely that an intermediate technology, a technology with a human face, is in fact possible, that it is viable, and that it reintegrates the human being with his skillful hands and creative brain into the productive process.
So putting Gandhi's production by the masses into practice.
Exactly. This group showed that a technology with a human face isn't some far-off dream or an impractical romantic notion. It's real, it's viable, and it actively puts human skill and creativity back at the very center of making things.
That's a powerful proof of concept, showing we can design tools that empower and enrich rather than diminish or displace the human spirit.
Which leads us to Schumacher's powerful concluding principle, the phrase for which he is most famous.
Small is beautiful.
Man is small, and therefore, small is beautiful. To go for gigantism is to go for self-destruction.
That's the central philosophical takeaway, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a direct challenge to that deeply ingrained belief that bigger is always better. It's a radical recentering of human scale and dignity in our technological and economic pursuits.
And embracing this requires...
He acknowledges it requires, first and foremost, an effort of the imagination and an abandonment of fear.
Imagination and abandoning fear.
Yes, and he also profoundly reframes the very idea of cost when discussing survival itself. He states, with striking clarity, to calculate the cost of survival is perverse.
Wow. To calculate the cost of survival is perverse. That really sticks with you. It fundamentally challenges our whole cost-benefit analysis approach to existence itself.
It does. Schumacher is arguing that clinging to gigantism in our systems is a form of self-sabotage. The true cost of survival cannot be measured in purely economic terms alone. It demands a profound shift in our imagination, a liberation from the fear of not having enough or not being powerful enough, and the courage to embrace a different, more humane path.
What would a world truly built on the principle of small is beautiful look like in our daily lives? What specific fears, maybe the fear of being left behind, the fear of scarcity, the fear of letting go of control, do we collectively need to abandon?
Those are the crucial questions his work leaves us with.
Schumacher's call isn't for retreat then, but for a conscious and courageous reorientation, grounded in the understanding that true progress aligns with our human scale and the rhythms of nature.
Fostering not just material well-being, but spiritual and psychological flourishing too. Outro.
Well, today's deep dive into E.F. Schumacher's Technology with a Human Face has really pushed us to think differently about the very tools that shape our lives.
It certainly gives you a lot to chew on.
We've explored how technology, while offering immense power and potential, has also, in its current trajectory, driven us towards that threefold crisis, diminishing the joy and meaning of work and threatening our very survival on this planet.
A sobering diagnosis.
But more importantly, we've thoroughly examined Schumacher's hopeful vision for a different path, one where small is beautiful, where technology serves humanity and ecology, not the other way around.
It's a profound challenge to our deepest assumptions about progress and growth,
urging us to recognize the stark choice before us. Continue the relentless forward stampede or become homecomers who seek basic truths and a technology designed with a human face.
Schumacher's insights offer not just a critique, though, but a compelling framework for change. They prompt us to consider how we might, in our individual lives and collective choices.
How we can actually do something.
Yes. How we might begin to embody the spirit of intermediate technology and contribute to a world where our tools truly reflect a human face. What small, beautiful shift could you make in how you work, how you consume, or how you interact with the technology around you?
Could you seek out products made with greater human care? Support local producers. Find ways to infuse your own daily tasks with more hands-on creativity.
The journey to a more humane and sustainable future begins, as Schumacher reminds us, with an effort of imagination, an abandonment of fear, and a conscious choice to build something truly beautiful, one small step at a time.